Senate Oceans, Atmosphere, and Fisheries and Coast Guard Subcommittee of the Commerce Committee will come to order. I thank the witnesses for being here today. We are going to have two panels. First panel will be Captain Matthew Sisson, who is the commanding officer of Research and Development Center for the United States Coast Guard, and Mr. Doug Helton from the Office of Response and Restoration, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And then we'll have a second panel of people who have been involved in ocean research. As the single largest marine oil spill in our nation's history, the BP oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico is both an environmental and human tragedy of monumental proportions. Virtually no part of the Gulf's region's economy has gone unscathed, and the devastation facing the environment is unprecedented. In 1989, the Exxon Valdez showed us just how unprepared we were for the massive oil tanker that run aground in Prince William Sound, spilling over 11 million gallons of crude oil. And today, the BP oil spill is showing us just how unprepared we still are in 2010. Since the Exxon Valdez oil spill, there has been very little investment in the research and development of cleanup technologies by industry, academia, and government agencies. Private companies, in their pollution response plans, must cite the technology and equipment that they will use to respond to a spill. But to save time on research, however, they are often outsourced to nonprofit groups such as the oil spill recovery organizations that provide contract services during an oil spill. And simply, the list that the contract is in place as a response plan is a way of compliance. Our primary response technology of today, skimmers, in situ burns, boom, and chemical dispersants, were all developed decades ago. Meanwhile, exploration and drilling technology has advanced at a meteoric pace due to heavy investment by oil and gas industry and the drive to drill in deeper waters with extremely sophisticated equipment. The Deepwater Horizon oil spill has revealed a huge disparity between our nation's ability to extract oil versus our ability to respond to an oil spill. There are several promising technologies and techniques, such as solidifiers, remediation techniques, absorbent fiber membranes, but these innovations have not yet been fully developed or assessed or made operational as part of oil spill response. For example, today we will hear from Dr. Fritz Starr of the University of Washington, who has worked to develop sea glider technology for sophisticated underwater scientific monitoring, a tool that could easily be used to detect underwater plumes in the Gulf of Mexico. And we will also be hearing from Dennis Yellowhorse Jones, a geologist and entrepreneur who's developed an organic remediation method for breaking down oil using a unique mineral compound, a method that could be used to clean up the Gulf's shorelines. Thousands of ideas and proposals have been submitted to the government and BP. The Coast Guard has received over 3,500 technology proposals so far. I think something of 77 which have been approved or forwarded to the Incident Command for use in the Gulf, and BP has received over 100,000 submissions, which the company has only, I think, been able to process through about 12,000. We need to do everything possible to ensure that oil spill response is the best response that we can make it. Recognizing BP's inability to respond to the many proposals in the Coast Guard's Research and Development Center established, recognizing BP's response, the Coast Guard, in their Research and Development Center, established the Interagency Alternative Technology Assessment Program. And I'm sure we're going to hear Captain Sisson about that today. But while the Alternative Technology and Assessment Program process is in place, I think it shows that we are still struggling to face, in the midst of an emergency, the desperately needed solution to a permanent process for vetting and evaluating oil spill technology. This process is only a temporary fix, and we need a permanent process so that we aren't in the same place now in the future in case of another big spill. So we are going to hear today about what needs to be done to help jumpstart oil spill technology research and development, provide further incentives and structure. We need to turn new technologies into reality, and to develop protocols and standards that will provide us a 21st century oil spill safety net. I have introduced legislation, the Oil Spill Technology and Research Act. Many of these pieces we have proposed in the past and have been parts of various pieces of legislation, and we will be proposing them again as legislation moves through the legislative process. 21 years ago, we saw the devastating cost of complacency, and now we are living that nightmare again. This oil spill is not a Louisiana tragedy. It's not a Florida tragedy or a Mississippi tragedy or Alabama. It is an American tragedy. And it's up to us to ensure that America's waters and shores are protected in the most rigor that we can muster. So we have to ask ourselves, when this history is written, will we say that we rose to the occasion and made sure that we had a better response plan in place for the future? I know that we are going to do our part here on the subcommittee and on the full committee, so I thank my colleague for being here today, the ranking member, Senator Snowe, for having this hearing and bringing attention to the fact that we need to upgrade our technology.